Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to What's Up 400 and I think 19? We're definitely over 400. I'm going to stick with 419. So, welcome. I'm sweating already. It's a trillion degrees in the shade, but I'm finally back out on a bike doing what has historically proven to be the absolute best thing you, everyone can do to improve your mind and your body, but predominantly your state of mind. Now there are a number of reasons I'm out on this ride today. The first reason, possibly the most exciting one, it might be easier if I show you rather than tell you. Ah, that's no good, and I have to say, not entirely unexpected. I'll come on to the reasons for why I was expecting this to happen when I come back and try this again tomorrow. But for now, a bit of hiker bike back home. Right, let's try this again. Where was I? Oh yeah, this. Alright, well, I've come to the spot where I'm pretty sure is exactly where I did my first ever video on my Planet X Tempest. So, seemed like a good place to start. It's not the most picturesque place to show off a new bike, but at least it's very tricky to get to and the lighting is terrible. Right, so what I have here is the latest gift from the world's most magnificent wife. I'll try not to bore you with the reasons why she got me it, but I'll come on to that in a minute. But I'll tell you basically what it is. It's a Trek Marlin 7 2027 model Gen 3, and it is, oh, it's just, I mean, just look at it. Look at it. It shouldn't all be about how it looks, but to me, anyway, I don't know anything about these kind of bikes, so I'm not going to pretend to. I'm used to riding narrow handlebar, drop, road and gravel bikes, so it's taken some getting used to dealing with these big wide steery sticks, massive bouncy wheel balloons, and these what would these be, bounce pipes. Not to mention it also has an ejector seat. Not sure I'll ever use that for its intended purpose, but nice to have anyway. So this is only the third of 3 very short rides that I've done on it, so I can't do a full review, and I wouldn't even want to try because, like I say, I don't know anything about these. So what I'll do is a very basic pros and cons based on my very limited riding. I'll start with the cons, the obvious one being the problem I had with the crank and the pedal. Now I mentioned earlier in the video that it wasn't completely unexpected. That is because when fitting the pedal, one side went on beautifully and the other side, it just didn't feel quite as nice, quite as smooth. It would go in beautifully about halfway. I would then feel a little bit of grindiness, so I undid it, cleaned it, re-greased it, did it again, got the same to about the same point, and it felt grindy again. And probably that's the point at which I should have stopped, but I didn't, because it carried on winding in and it went in very flat and felt very secure. Obviously that wasn't the case because it threaded itself and came out. What I will say, that obviously is the first negative. But for the guys that supplied the bike, excuse me, I'm dripping with sweat. For the guys that supplied the bike, which is a shop called the Bicycle Chain, which I think is a relatively small family-owned chain, retailer, they were sensational. And I don't say this lightly, this is by no means sponsored or endorsed or anything. I sent an email explaining exactly what I just did to you. I tried to put it on. I'm more than happy to accept part of the blame, but I do feel there was something initially wrong in the first place, blah, blah, blah. And some photos. I sent an email, and I am not exaggerating when I say they called me within 5 minutes of me sending that email, and with no quibbles. Replacement parts sent out, back on the road, no arguments whatsoever. So thebicyclechain.com or .co.uk, I'll put a link. I will, because very rarely am I that pleased with customer service that I feel the need to talk about it. That was the negative, because it stopped me riding for a little while. Turned into a very big positive in terms of my relationship with the bike shop. And prior to the bike even arriving, I'd been chatting in one of my Discord groups about the first thing I wanted to upgrade, and it was that crankset and the bottom bracket. Because what I do know about this bike is the bottom bracket it uses is a bit of an old school one. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is. I think it's like a Truvative Power Drive or Posi Drive or something like that. It's got one of those kind of names, but it's like a solid steel whatever axle through the middle there, and the fitment is all just a little bit out of date, so it's not as compatible with more modern chain rings and crank arms, etc. What else can I tell you about it now? The stuff that I do know. Right, joking aside, obviously I know they're not called spring pipes or whatever I called them. They're called bouncy poles. So the bouncy poles are RockShox Judy Silvers. The gears are Shimano, the brakes, Shimano something or other discs. Don't know the size, sorry, but they look really nice. Suspension feels incredible. I did lock it out actually. Is it still locked? Yeah, I think I locked it out because I was climbing. I'm going to guess the finishing kit is all just Bontrager. Handlebars, which I might narrow slightly, again, because I'm so used to riding more tucked in. This feels really odd at the moment. But I'm going to guess they're just Bontrager, sort of alloy, whatever. Likewise with the wheels, these are Bontrager, what? There's a name on there. Oh, that just says Bontrager. Can you read that? Covey? SRAM stuff, as I mentioned, so SX crankset. That's a 30-tooth chainring with a something to 50, so the easiest gear is easy, which is good. Oh, I haven't taken off, do we call this the dork disc? I need to take that off. So yeah, and then SRAM NX 12-speed rear mech. There's the rear disc and caliper. I'm going to guess again this is a Bontrager dropper post. Oh, I was going to stick with the negatives. There was one other negative. This saddle is, I'm pretty sure this has been designed by Satan herself. It's like they've modelled it to put unnecessary pressure in all the areas I don't want pressure while sitting on it. So this is a Bontrager Verse. I think it's a short, I mean it looks tiny. Anyway, whatever it is. But they're the only two negatives. The crank problem, which is not a negative of the bike in terms of design, and the saddle. And they're very easily fixed. Obviously I mentioned this was the most exciting reason for me being back out on my bike, and that is because I'm a materialistic shallow twat. Things is motivation enough for me. I struggle to motivate myself any other way than buying new stuff. So Emma having bought me this, I'll tell you very quickly why. The last 18 months have been absolutely horrendous, right? In a bit of a rut, and I've always had some kind of hobby, because I get all up inside my own head, so I've always really dived into a hobby. Model making, sim racing, a recent failed to launch career in lawnmower racing. Fuck's sake. But cycling was always the one that actually did what I hoped it would do, and that was just to free my mind and my headspace, and obviously the physical benefits are huge as well. So I was in a proper rut, having just got myself really fed up and depressed over plenty of other things. The lawnmower racing was just winding me up more than it was helping me, which is nobody's fault but mine. Maybe ambition beyond ability was the problem there. So she just bought me a bike. I'd sold my gravel bike last year and instantly regretted it. So this had been on, like, I'd saved this in my notes a few times where I'd been looking around, so she knew I liked this particular bike. And then she just messaged me while I was out. Said, your bike's being delivered on whatever day it was. And voila. So I'm back out, healing my brain, courtesy of my wonderful wife, on my wicked new Trek. Marlin, as I'm going to refer to it. That'll go over the head of so many viewers. But yeah, bloody love it. Okay, well I'm going to carry on this waffle whilst I ride, because it's mainly downhill back home now, so I should be able to talk and ride a little bit. But I was going to come on to reason number 2 why I've decided now is the time to get out on the bike. Annoyingly, I had a list that I'd written of names in my pocket. In fact, let me check it, double check I didn't put it back in. But that list of names is very significant in that we have reached 10 years of WKG. Hence me wearing what I'm going to call the 10-year anniversary design, going back to the original /WKG logo t-shirt. Available in the actually no, they're not available in the shops, but if anyone wants one, let me know. The list of names, the main names that I see that basically have kept WKG alive, and not only alive, going from strength to strength during my total absence. Without the list, I'm not actually going to try and say those names now, because I will miss some very, very important ones. And I'm embarrassed that I don't know them off by heart, but there's quite a few. And they are the most consistent, fun, engaging, reliable contributors to the WKG group. They've basically kept it going. And like I say, not only kept it going, the group rides are phenomenal. The popularity, they featured in sort of Group Ride of the Month magazine. That's not a thing, is it? But whatever the equivalent is, they do amazing ride reports, and like I say, it's the only reason it still exists. So it's 10 years in December that WKG started, both the video channel and the Facebook Zwift group. So it seemed like a good anniversary for me to try and get started again. I'm certainly not going to try and punch my way back in as any kind of authority in WKG, not at all. I would like to literally just be a group member. I'd love that, just to try and hopefully join in some rides and experience what these guys have been putting on for so long. I'm just so grateful that it's still going, because it would have just disappeared. So that's reason number 2. Some other names I'm going to throw in quickly that I can remember that are linked to that, but also not. First one, Stevie Wonkster. Does everyone remember Stevie Wonkster? I mean, a legend anyway, but he saw me doing some walks in the woods and messaged me, and I only saw this message after the event, but he messaged me to basically give me a mountain bike. I mean, there's no way on earth I could have accepted that, or would have accepted that, but just the fact that he even thought to do that, come on man. So Stevie, absolute legend. And in addition to Stevie, I've just had the nicest responses, messages of motivation and sort of welcome back kind of things from all the usual suspects. And I'm going to single a couple of people out purely because I communicate with them a little bit more. Martin Overweg, Paul Pickles Nichols, Rink Visser. They're 3 names. If they can't get you back on a bike, nobody can. Check out Martin's videos, by the way. They are hands down the best cycling videos YouTube has ever experienced. So that's all of that waffle is number 2 reason why I'm back on the bike. I think it was a very obvious number 3, but I can't remember what it is now. Anyway, let's get back on the bike and I'll try and talk and ride. You know, I said it's mainly downhill, so I should be able to ride and talk. I must have taken the wrong turn because I'm immediately on a climb. Anyway, what I will say is the most obvious and overwhelming difference on this bike from my previous, and I'm certainly not going to start moaning about my gravel bike because this is going to have some way to go to come close to that. I've said many times that it was the best bike I owned, that Planet X Tempest, and I'll stand by that. However, there were many a ride where, given where I'm heading on all these journeys, it felt undertired and just too racy. So what this gives me is a lot more confidence, sitting in a more upright position with my arms spread, and obviously the extra cushioning, mainly of the tyres, I think is going to make my usual trails a lot more enjoyable once I get used to it. Oh, If there weren't so many bloody hills. Come on. Oh, that first gear is good though. Right, now it should be mainly downhill all the way home. Things like that, that's just sick. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but this is quite steep, rough and loose. Oh. He knew trouble was coming. No, I'm on my own. Thank you. Yes, as I was saying, this is quite steep, loose and bumpy. And other than the hideous saddle, it's absorbing it so well, and I just feel much more comfortable doing it. Don't like the sound of all the stones pinging off the frame though, that's annoying me. I'm a bit precious when it comes to keeping the frames looking beautiful. Oh, this bit's rough. Ooh. Oh. Hello?
You alright?
Yeah. Fine, thanks, just climbing up a hill.
Oh.
You alright?
Yeah.
You're just worried because I've taken a long time?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just went a longer way than I'd planned because it's really good.
Is it fun though?
Oh, I love it. Love it. My eyes are f***ing awful. But
Oh, at least you've done it, darling.
yeah, the bike feels amazing. Oh, that was sick coming down there. So good. So a tiny little bit more detail about the bike that I can remember before I wrap this up. I will do a full review once I've ridden it more and understand it better. But the total price as of, when would it have been ordered? Sort of mid-July, late July, was £999. That's with the SRAM SX crankset, Shimano whatever these are disc brakes, but they're really nice, really good brakes I have to say. SRAM NX rear mech cassette. This particular model, the Marlin 7 2027 one, comes in this light minty colour with black decals, a matte black with what I think has got a kind of glossy speckle finish, and then purple decals, which looks quite cool as well. Comes with these wicked Maxxis tyres. I don't think there are any other options. I think it's a standard 30-50 gear ratio, 175mm length cranks. Yeah, not much else I can tell you about it really, but I change and customise everything I own because they're like stepping stones of motivation. So for me, it was all about the frame, which I love, the colour scheme, which I adore, and then everything else is replaceable over time. And so far, so very blooming good. Okay, safely back on solid tarmac. I think I've said all the words I can possibly think to say today, so I'll try not to bore you any longer. But I'll just once again thank everybody for their very kind comments and messages, and hopefully the next one will be a more comprehensive review and or a more extensive test of myself and the bike with a longer, more exciting ride. But we'll see how I feel after this one. Thanks very much for watching. catch you soon.